Hi! So guess who's doing a video response, which aren't even a thing anymore? I saw one of my friends, Marina, have a discussion about academic language on Twitter, and it made me want to have that discussion continued. This conversation, especially for Marina, started specifically on August 18th. So I, of course, will include Marina's conversation here. And the reason, at least from what I could tell, that she started tweeting about this was because of course, criticism, the quote lack of academic language that she uses on her channel. And this thread that she provided made me frustrated, not at her, but this kind of idea that I guess the folks who were criticizing Marina were having in general. One of the things that Marina did mention, and I don't want it to just sound like I'm gonna be getting on my soapbox and talking about it, is the conversation about accessibility. The thing about academic language that Marina pointed out too is there is a time and place for it. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. As someone who is going into the educational space to start my student teaching in January and is going to have my own classroom next school year, this conversation is incredibly important to me because of the fact that using multiple resources, but especially YouTube, because it's something that is incredibly important to me, is going to be an important component of my classroom. So yes, I want the videos that I show in my classroom to be academically relevant. However, that doesn't mean that they necessarily need to use solely academic language, because the thing about academic language is that oftentimes it's not culturally responsible language / accessible language. And the important thing to remember about that is that, one, not everyone is able to access education, but also not everyone receives the same type of education. And there's a lot of barriers there that are intentional and unintentional that prevent a lot of folks from reaching those certain spaces. So yes, I want these videos to be engaging, but I also want them to be accessible. And the point that I guess I want to drive home with this is, if you just use what you consider to be academic language, it turns a lot of people off because of the fact that they can engage with it. It just doesn't connect with them, which I guess is part of being engaged, but it's just not accessible. So when they're not able to literally understand, they can't connect and respond. There's nothing wrong with you showcasing your knowledge by using accessible language. It does nothing, and it doesn't reflect poorly on you. In fact, I would say that it actually reflects better and shows that you're more accessible to other folks by using more culturally responsive language, because that means that theoretically you would have more individuals responding because they're able to respond that way. But when you're just using words out of a thesaurus because you feel like that's what an intellectual would use, if that's what you think knowledge is, it's just not going to work that way. I mean, I was that way, don't get me wrong, in like 9th grade and 10th grade. I mean, even like my freshman year of college, I thought that that's how I needed to perform. I thought that that's what being like smart looked like. That's how I thought I needed to perform. But as I have started to realize what accessibility is, I've realized I can take these higher level concepts and share them in a way that I know can connect with more people. And I found that to be, one, more effective, but two, more meaningful for me. I want to be able to use your content in my future classroom, not only in January, but like literally in the classroom that I'm going to have next year. However, in order to do so, I want you to, one, respect your knowledge and 2, respect the knowledge of other people. And in order to do that, it requires 2 things. 1, using culturally responsive language, and that means not just pulling from a thesaurus, but using words that you would use in a standard conversation, or what oftentimes folks use as like layman's terms. Just discuss it like you would discuss with a friend. And if you want it to sound like Crash Course or Idea Channel, do it. That's totally fine. But recognize that oftentimes in those videos, those folks are just using standard language. Oftentimes there are some words that are higher level vocabulary, but they're kind of peppering them in to include some new vocabulary and gradually increase that knowledge over time, but it's still generally accessible to most folks. So that's also important. And 2, if you want me to use your videos in my classroom, I need them to have captions. And ideally, I would also love for them to have a transcript as well, because that means that I can provide an actual visual copy of it to students who need that as well. And I look forward to being able to have a more in-depth conversation about the value of personal testimony and using more culturally responsive language as I continue in my path of education. But until then, I will be back very soon.